Did he tell you, did he say we're waiting on one more member? That's what we're doing.
Oh,
yeah. Are you the applicant or are you here to
Yes.
speak on it?
That.
Okay, we'll just call you.
Thanks. Good afternoon. It is past 1:30. We now have a quorum, and I will call this meeting to order. Welcome to the City of Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment for October 16th, 2025. For anyone wishing to be heard today, besides the applicant, please fill out a white sheet found at the front desk and get it to a member of staff as soon as possible. The process today for today's meeting will be as follows. Ms. Lakin will call the case number. The applicant or the representative will be recognized to come to the podium and give a brief description of their case. I will then recognize any supporters or protestants who signed up to speak. They will be given 3 minutes each to express their views. For anyone who is at the podium, please start with your name and address for the record. So for today, we only have 3 board members. We're missing 2 board members. So in order to have an affirmative vote and approval of your application, you'll need all 3 members to vote in the affirmative. With that being said, anyone who wishes to continue a case to the next available meeting will be allowed to. That, number 2, the next item on the agenda is to receive the minutes from the previous meeting.
Motion to receive the minutes from the October 2nd, 2025 meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote when available. And it passes. Next item, item number 3, is continuous requests and withdrawals.
So we have item number 14, case number 16072 is withdrawn. And we have a new request, item number 2, case number 16056 is continued till November 6th, 2025. And item number 3, case number 16060 is going to be continued to 11/6/25.
With that, is there anyone here that wishes to be heard on any of those cases? Seeing none, we have a motion.
Motion to defer or to continue case number 16056 and case number 16060 to the November 6th, 2025 meeting.
We have to take these separately because I'm going to abstain on granting a motion to continue on.
We will not be able to have a vote if you abstain, so.
Yeah, well, I'm recusing on number 3. So I can vote on the others to continue those.
And we'll just continue the other one because the applicant's not here?
That's what we will do, is continue it because the applicant's not present.
Okay.
So I revised my motion then. Motion to continue case number 16056 to the November 6th, 2025 meeting.
Second.
And that motion passes. So on the one, we call the case in order and then no applicant, we'll defer it.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 1, case number 16067 is a request of Randy and Donna Clark for a variance to accessory building regulations located at 2717 Palazzo Circle. And this was continued from last meeting, and the letter has been received as requested by the board.
Good afternoon. My name is Donna Clark at 2717 Palazzo Circle.
And Randy Clark.
Marcus, this one was continued on the last one. They got a letter from their next door neighbor on the same side as the building. No one is here to sign up to speak on this one. Ready for a motion?
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good with it? All right. I'll make a motion to approve case number 16067 for the purposes that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested variance.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Vote when available. And it passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 2 has been continued. Item number 3 is case number 16060, request of Reno Daniels for a variance to yard and bulk regulations located at 5101 East Wilshire Boulevard.
And the applicant is not here on this case, and so I think that we should continue it. You want to continue it right now or put it at the end of the agenda? We know she's not coming, so
I thought it was already continued to November 6th.
that was one we pulled out of the original continuances. And, yeah, I could ask, is there anyone to speak on case number 3? There are none? We know she's not coming. Okay, we'll continue it. Can we continue it for lack of quorum if Marcus recuses? Yeah. Okay. So we will continue this case for lack of quorum.
Okay, we're moving on to item number 4, case number 16068. This is an application by Jeremy Howell on behalf of Joseph Azone to allow home sharing located at 9 West Ranchwood Drive.
And Jeremy Howell, 36 West Memorial Road, Suite B2, Oklahoma City. It's just a home sharing license. It's a 3,000 square foot, 3-bed, 3-bath house with a pool.
No one had signed up to speak on this. Anything from the board?
Jeremy, can you tell us how you're getting to 11 people on the request?
Should be 10 on the listing shows 10 on Airbnb.
Okay. Yeah, the application
It's got
says
a bunk room.
11.
It's a big house. It's got a bunk room. And then we have 2 rooms with, one room's got 2 twin beds and one's got a king. But the one room's got 2 bunk beds, 2 sets,
And the bunks are
2 twins.
2 twins.
Yeah,
How many bathrooms are there?
3.
3.
Yeah. It's a pretty good sized house. It's got 2 living spaces, 2 dining spaces.
Did you just take over property management for this?
Brand new. He's military. He's going overseas for 2 years. And so whereas he can manage it while he's gone. And he'll move back in there when he gets back. It went live like this week.
It's a 3-bedroom home though,
It's 3-bedroom, yeah.
and it has a swimming pool in the backyard.
Yep. It's got a small little guest house in the back, but we're not going to rent that.
And there were no protests in the packet. The neighbors didn't protest. I think the number's too large, even at 10 for me.
We can go 3 times 2 plus 2.
Plus 2. Okay. I like to go 2 in each bedroom plus 1 at the first time, but it's just with a swimming pool, I don't want it to become a problem and then the neighbors have to wait a year.
Yeah, whatever you guys want.
Okay.
I'd get behind 8. It's got a circle drive. It can handle 5 cars easy.
What's the count? What's the count you want?
5.
What about people?
Oh, 8.
Okay.
5 cars? All right,
Quiet hours, they stay 9 p.m., just end them at 8.
yeah, no on-street parking.
No on-street parking, right? And,
Yeah, there's plenty of parking there.
yeah,
Cool.
a 1-year term.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to approve case number 16068 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for requested variance with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 8. Quiet hours shall be from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. No on-street parking during quiet hours, and maximum number of vehicles at 5 for a term of 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And it passes.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Item number 5, case number 16069 is by Sarah Roth on behalf of Jacob Aaron Allenwood to allow home sharing at 1604 Northwest 29th Street.
Hi, Sarah Roth at 1604 Northwest 29th Street, applied for a special exception for home sharing license.
Can you tell us about the house?
Yeah, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house. We just purchased it, so we are the owners of it. When I applied, it was under ownership by someone else at the time. We were under contract. But 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, large backyard, 2 parking spaces in the driveway, ample street parking. Happy to share any other details.
No one inside but speak.
What's the bed arrangement in the house?
So we can have a max, or right now we are planning for a max of 10. So 1 bedroom has king bed, 1 bedroom has a queen, 1 bedroom has a queen and 2 twin bunks, and the other one has a date bed with a trundle.
How much
The square footage?
About 1,700. 1 story,
2 bath?
2.5.
Two and a half bath? I mean, I think per bath, it's 4 per. I don't know if are we giving some leeway on that?
I like for the first time just to go 9 for a maximum.
Okay, no problem.
Sarah, can you make sure that, do we have the leeway to go above the 4 persons per bathroom?
It doesn't say anything about the bath, just the bed.
There's not a regulation tied to bathroom.
Okay, I know we discussed it.
We
Okay.
kind of that up, right? I'm gonna go 4,
Okay.
4 beds is where I came up with that.
Okay.
Also, I want to adjust the quiet hours to 9 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Okay.
In the application, it says 10 to 7.
Okay.
How many cars?
2 can fit in the drive,
Yes, 2 can fit in the drive.
and I want to limit the on-street parking to just during the day.
The day. Okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Not during quiet hours.
Okay.
Right?
1-year term.
Yeah. All right, so let's see if I can get this right. Motion to approve case number 16069 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exceptions with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 9. Quiet hours are adjusted to be 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. The maximum number of vehicles at 2. No on-street parking during the quiet hours and for a term of 1 year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And it passes.
Thank you.
Item number 6, case number 16070 is an application by Ben Basie on behalf of Home Sweet Home Properties to allow home sharing located at 5911 North Billin Avenue.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Basie. I'm speaking on behalf of Kelly Basie, the applicant for the property at 5911 North Billin Avenue. We are requesting a special exemption for home sharing. The house is 3,050 square foot, 4-bed, 2.5 bath. In response to neighborhood feedback, we'd like to voluntarily reduce the maximum occupancy from 10 guests to 8 and limit parking from 5 to 4 vehicles. We've heard the request for a minimum stay requirement, and we propose a 2-night minimum rather than 3, still allowing weekend visitors like nurses, family members, and parents visiting students to stay affordably. We agree with no street parking between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., installation of noise-aware decibel monitors, and a one-year review period. Regarding the proposed 25-year-old age limit, we respectfully request flexibility, as many of our short-term renters are traveling professionals such as nurses and medical students under 25 who pass full ID verification and have excellent short-term rental histories. Finally, occupancy will not exceed 2 guests per bedroom, ensuring low density and quiet use consistent with neighborhood's character. Thank you.
Thanks. There is someone signed up to speak on this one. You want to hear from them?
Yeah.
Stephen Kerr.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Kerr, 5905 North Billin. I live in the house directly south of this subject. You see the building just there lower. That's it. That's my home. And if you look at the map and you see across the street, there's a home with a swimming pool. The home directly south of that is already licensed as an Airbnb. So that would mean across the street, 2 houses down and next door to me would be 2 short-term rentals. I don't believe that is quite fair. The home today looks very nice. The previous renters who lived there were there for quite a long time, and the home did not look as it does today. It's been very poorly kept, and the only experience that I have, even after having met with the homeowner, is what I've had in the past. I've lived there since February of 2019, and it has been very poorly maintained. The 3 bedrooms of this home are within about 30 feet of my kitchen door, so it's very close. And I do not believe that I should be having to bear the brunt of having Airbnbs, 2 of them this close to me, nor should my neighbors on either side of me or across the street. So that's my request. If the board is not willing to accept my request, then I certainly would agree that there need to be the limitations that Mr. Basie spoke about. Those were placed on the house across the street, and that has worked fairly well. But my major objection here is that there is already one right across the street from me, and I shouldn't have to have one next door as well. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, I did submit a letter, and I do stand behind that letter. So,
just a few things. I'll tell you, under the ordinance, it's a 10% per block maximum.
Yes, and
so,
that's my understanding, but if you look,
right, that block,
there's 6 blocks.
Right, so across the street is another block.
Right, and so is next door, and 3 houses down the street. So there's 22 houses, I believe, from Northwest 59th Street to Northwest 56th Terrace. Under this, there could be 12. So
by ordinance.
Right, by ordinance. There could be 12 Airbnbs
but
here.
I just wanted you to be aware of, under the ordinance itself, that, we can't take into consideration. I mean, we can take it into consideration, the sheer number, for sure, but.
Right. And I do understand that. I was once an assistant municipal councilor myself, so I do understand that.
And then on the past ownership, well, the current ownership is here. They heard you loud and clear. Do you have their contact information?
I do.
Okay. You want to make sure that was in your possession.
A problem that our neighborhood, I've served on my neighborhood board, homeowners board as well. A problem that we have very often when there's a problem with an Airbnb is there's no one to call. The police come out and they say, well, there's really not anything we can do, and they leave, and there's no one to call at 10 p.m. So, just on the other side of the school, 3 weeks ago, there was an Airbnb that had 200 people at a party over the weekend. That's why I'm requesting 3-day minimum. 2 day is not enough to stop a party house.
And I'll again tell you, I mean, the police, 911 is a very good call, and also the Action Center, just to know that's the only way we get information on what is happening. So I know that sometimes you don't get as much response as you'd like, but to have that call in and to have record is very important to us as a board.
Yes, on 59th Place, there's been one, which is off this map. There has been one that has been called numerous times. And we have not had pleasant experiences with Airbnbs in the neighborhood. So.
Any other questions for him?
Thank you.
Thanks. Come back up, yeah. And I think there was 3 other written protests. Did you get copies of those also?
Yes, I think there were 6, but a couple of them were just general complaints about Airbnb in general.
So I would like you to reach out to them and give them your contact information also, just so that they had it.
Yes, sir. I've emailed all of them. I had a meeting with 2 of the neighbors as well, and they all have my phone number.
Okay. Anything else?
You had stated some concessions that you all were willing to make. I'm assuming you saw the 5 concessions that the gentleman had
Yes, sir.
placed, and you're okay with all of those?
No, so for the minimum stay requirement, I would prefer 2 nights. Research from Airbnb, their own safety team and city planning data shows that 2-night minimums already deter parties by over 90%. We want to allow this just for nurses and incoming family members and parents visiting students to all be able to stay just for the weekend. 3 nights kind of makes it difficult for if you want to come for just the weekend or something like that. And then as well as the 25-year-old age limit, I've already gotten requests from a lot of nursing students that I know that want to come during their residency. They're not 25 years old. That would limit their usage of the Airbnb. So those are the only 2 things that I would rather have. I agree with the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., no street parking, noise monitors, 1-year review period, 2 guests per bedroom as well.
And I think you said that you would limit that, or the minimum age would be 21.
Sure.
I hadn't heard that. So are you good with 21 being a minimum age?
Yes, 21 works.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right, so I'm going to make a motion. Someone correct me if I misspeak. But motion to approve case number 16070 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exceptions with the following modifications. Maximum number of guests shall be 8. There is a 2-night minimum stay requirement. Maximum number of vehicles at 4, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No on-street parking during the quiet hours. You will be installing decibel monitors on the property. This is for a term of 1 year. Am I missing anything?
Minimum age 21.
Minimum age of 21.
Second.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. And you're approved.
Item number 7, case number 15940 is an application by Sontran of EZ Rentals LLC to allow home sharing, 1231 Northwest 31st Street. This item was continued from last meeting.
James Thiessen on behalf of the applicant. This application and the applications following through number 13 on the agenda all have been before the board before. The concern that the board raised at the last meeting related to the quality of the management that was occurring with the applicants. That has been taken to heart. If I may approach.
Sarah, did you get one? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Has the board received a copy? What's been presented to the board, the first item there is a property management agreement. That agreement is between the individual applicants, Nick Tran and Son Tran, both in their individual capacity as members and managers of the various LLCs. This agreement is with Growth Gurus LLC. Scarlet Cow is both the member and the manager of that entity. The property management agreement itself, in short, has your basic provisions that you would anticipate in that. Its core contents are found within the exhibit that is attached thereto as the Growth Gurus Property Management Company Policy and Procedures Manual. The policy and the procedures manual states out in detail how the properties will be managed, how communications will occur. For example, flipping to page 4 of the policy, item 3.2, neighbor communications, communicating with the neighbors effectively. The draft of the proposed letter that will be circulated to all neighbors following approval by the board is the next to the last page. It says, "Dear neighbor," advises new primary contact phone numbers. As a point of record, the phone number listed as the 405-444-4444 is a placeholder. If the board would like, I have the actual phone number, but just for the record purposes, that is a placeholder. Behind that is an incident letter. The incident letter relates to Section 5. Section 5, I apologize, I just misspoke. Relates to, yes, number 5, page 6. Of particular concern to the board and to myself as counsel to these applicants was documentation with regards to incidents that had happened at the subject properties, the ability to clearly provide to the board what action was taken and why. An example relates to an item not before the agenda, but with regards to cameras identified a gathering. The police were called. However, there was not a police report done. There wasn't a police report in the folder. There were communications with Airbnb that I received after the last meeting that we had, which were not provided to the board. As such, what has been developed is a compliance regime that encourages accountability and keeps a record along with a narrative of what happened, why, and when, along with supporting documentation, such that if there are incidents that happen, that I can appear before you and say, we saw it on video, here's a picture of the people in the backyard. Here's our police report. Here's what we communicated to Airbnb. There will be some things with Airbnb with regards to privacy disclosures, and we may have to black out some last names in terms of personally identifiable information. This is the investigation we did. This is what we found. This is the action we took with Airbnb. This is what the police did. And here's the communication that we sent to the neighbors. That way, the management in question, there's clear and effective communication between the property management company, which, to be clear, is not Nick or Son. They will not be making these phone calls to the neighbors and doing with the neighbors. That will be handled by Growth Gurus. And I will represent to the board that I will ensure that these folders of documentation are being maintained. So that the next time I come before you on that application, part of our application will be incidents and reports of what happened and what we did about it and evidence in question. So if there are protests, we're going to have in there what we did about the stuff and what we did to be a good neighbor. With regards to the current record owners of the property, their responsibility is the property. Growth Gurus has pushed back some owner responsibilities. Those are attached as the 3-page Growth Gurus Management Company Owner Responsibilities Guide to Maintaining the Property Standards. The actual maintenance as it relates to the subject properties, making them pretty, dealing with subcontractors, making sure the plumbing is as is, and all of those items will be handled by your former applicants. So by way of disclosure, I want to tell you that's the one piece that they will have. With regards to what is before the board today, number 7 is case number 15940. The record is replete with the case history, which is accurate. The case history reflects that this matter was continued in order to allow the applicant to obtain third-party management. That has been done, and we would ask that the application be approved.
I just had one other question.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I just had one other question before we did have someone sign up to speak, but I just wanted to know, just for my information, did they contract with this property management company on all of their properties or just the special exception properties?
At this time, the only properties are the short-term rentals.
Okay, but special exception short-term rentals or just their short-term rentals overall? Because that,
The short-term rentals that would be covered by the board.
so special exception.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
And are all of the homes owned by, is it Combs?
B&E.
Just want to make sure that the agreement itself covers all the special exceptions that are before the.
So the Agreement itself requires compliance with the law. The Growth Gurus Property Management Procedures Manual in number 1 requires full compliance with the Oklahoma City Municipal Code 13 and the sections involved. The purpose of this is to comply fully with the code.
So do Nick and Son own all of these properties in their individual capacity then?
I'm sorry, say it again, Mr. Seda.
I think they own the properties under B&E Rentals.
They own the properties under various LLCs. The contract is between them as member and manager of the various LLCs for work on these properties and management
I
thereof.
didn't see the,
And you're named in the contract just as part of the oversight?
Say it again?
And you're named in the contract also?
My name is not in the contract. I am in the contract in terms of notice for the trans on page 1 of the property management agreement.
Yeah, okay.
To add, as to Mr. Sada's question as to the I think connecting the dots between the properties themselves and the LLCs in the agreement,
Yes.
Exhibit A is where the connection occurs.
okay. And I'm presuming that based off of the vote today, there'll be an executed copy that you can provide and
There will be a
upload.
fully executed copy with wet ink signatures.
Thank you.
Anything else for him, or I can call up the...
No, I think that's
I
all.
just have one question. I'm still a little bit foggy on the trans involvement in the day-to-day operation, exactly which duties, can you outline again exactly which duties they would still be responsible for?
I apologize, I'm having a hard time understanding the members talking.
Yeah, which duties would the owners still be responsible for under this agreement?
The duties that they would still be responsible for are specifically in the owner responsibilities guide to maintaining the property standards, and they would relate to the 2.1, all appliances, HVAC, plumbing, electrical. They would not deal with the short-term rental aspect or communication with the neighbors. They would be, I would think of them as the handyman service that's going to go get the subcontractors if required.
But so does this owner responsibility guide or the property management agreement speak expressly to which party is responsible for accepting the bookings?
The bookings in question relate to Growth Gurus would be responsible for that aspect.
And so it's in this document that it states that Growth Gurus is responsible for accepting bookings.
I do not see it. However, I am more than happy to amend the application with a specific requirement that Growth Gurus is responsible for dealing directly with any of the short-term rental, either Airbnb or VRBO. The intent here is solely that the record owners of the property, Easy Rentals, by and through their member managers, are going to be responsible for the owner responsibilities and not dealing with the day-to-day activities. The message of the board has been heard.
Anything else you want to hear from
We'll hear from the protester.
You ready to hear from him?
Yes.
And for record purposes, I would say I will insert the clarification that Member Uday requested under 2.2.
And then also supply a signed document.
Yes, sir.
On
I will
approval.
I will be more than happy to supplement.
Brian Jones, ready to be heard?
Thank you, members of the board. My name is Brian Jones. My address is 1544 Northwest 40th Street, and I appreciate what the applicants have done to show the board that they have heard the board's concerns. I have a couple of points that I think are relevant here that would need to be discussed. First of all, compensation under this property management agreement, page 3, section 8, says, see Exhibit B, which shall remain confidential between the parties. I know that there was a concern expressed by the board that this not be a sham. And I think specifically there was a concern by the board that that compensation be fair market value. And I think that presenting this agreement to the board with compensation undisclosed is concerning. I think that raises some questions. I'm not sure why that would need to be confidential. So that's a point I would highlight on the property management agreement. Regarding these applications in general, also, I do think it would be important to know if the city staff can provide information as to whether these properties have been home shared over the past 2 weeks, because the board was very clear with the applicants that that was absolutely forbidden. And I think that whether or not the applicants complied with that should certainly go to the outcome here. But as things stand, this resolution, I think, is a good resolution. It speaks to the applicants having heard the board's concerns and taken them seriously. I would just have concerns about the compensation, and I would have concerns about whether these properties were home shared, or whether the properties that were where the special exceptions were denied at the last meeting have been home shared. And I think that if the city staff can speak to that using this software that we discussed at the last meeting, I think that would be relevant, and I would ask that that inquiry at least be conducted.
Anything else?
No. Thank you.
And so we can ask staff. I don't know if we've had the ability to do that yet or not.
We've been testing, as this is a test program, and we pulled some information on 10-9, which I don't know if they've been operating home sharing since our last meeting. It says that they did some current bookings, like on October the 3rd, for October. But the main thing that, if they've canceled them, I don't know if they've done that or not, how it reflects on what I pulled on 10-9. But they don't have a license and that was the main question that he had. He thought he could operate because he had an expired special exception and an expired license. And the license that he pulled for all of the applications from June have not been paid, so they're still in pending status. And then, so they shouldn't be operating. And whether or not some of these bookings that we saw on there, if they canceled them, I don't know if what we're looking at it says it's canceled. We're just writing down that they have some bookings for October.
So the board was clear on the last meeting that prior to that meeting that the listing of these properties was okay. The board clearly stated at the last meeting that bookings subsequent to the meeting were not okay. And these have not, what's been represented to me is that these have not been rented. The clear instructions I gave was cancel all of them. Is there going to be some cruft which is a term of art with the database world of Airbnb and VRBO, that there's going to be some legacy stuff out there, yes. But no, these were not rented. The message from the board with regards to the questions of the veracity of the applicants, which the protester has continued to challenge here today, that message has been heard loud and clear. And I can assure you that what I will tell you is that I personally communicated that you will cancel all of these things. So, now, if I may be heard with regards to compensation, that is simply not within the purview or scope. It is not a public record item. It is certainly none of the protesters' business in terms of the percentages. This is an arm's length transaction. These tasks will be taken care of by Growth Gurus. The Trans have heard the board loud and clear with regards to their current credibility with the board, and they are clear that they have to take actions in order to restore that credibility on a moving forward basis. It's anticipated, the general plan I'll speak to is that Growth Gurus will continue to operate these for successive years, and that as the applicants build credibility, that they at some point will seek the board's approval, but only after that they have demonstrated credibility to the board. They understand that issue.
So no bookings have been accepted since the last meeting on any of these properties?
That is my understanding, Member Uday.
And Cindy, what you all are showing in your system is, do you have the date that you show the bookings occurred?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them were in September, but they're for October. But then we had some that stated they booked like on October 3rd. I was trying to find the one. Booked on October 3rd and 4th. We're not sure, we're not sure if we're looking at good data, if something has, if he's canceled something. We're not sure how we go about looking at that. If it's canceled, I don't know how long it takes to update. But there's lots of bookings for this whole month of October.
I understand. These are popular properties, and prior to the last meeting, they were being rented. And the message was received at the last meeting, don't rent these.
I'll also say, this is Sarah Welch, Planning Department. To piggyback on what Cindy had said, we are simply looking at this Rentalscape software. And again, I hesitate to give information as the absolute facts. However, it does show that for this particular property, it was booked back in August for September 25th through the 28th. It was booked September 26th for September 30th. It was booked September 26th for October 1st through 3rd. It was booked August 25th for October 5th through 10th. It was booked September 21st for October 12th through the 13th. And it does show blocked between October 18th and the 31st currently.
For the current property right now?
This at 1231 Northwest 31st.
And it is showing blocked at this time? Did I
It
hear
shows
correctly?
this, it does show available for October 15th and 16th, but it's blocked out, meaning you would not be able to reserve it between the 18th and 31st of October currently. Again, I hate to say, I mean, this is just me reading from this Rentalscape software.
Right. So on behalf of the applicants, and I understand Member Uday's concerns, and particularly looking back, the board's message with regards to veracity, the board's message with regards to reading the rules for the letter of the rules and not seeking to follow the intent of the rules has been heard. And I can tell you that I personally have delivered that message, that the any game playing with regards to this will stop, and there will be no more.
I guess the part that I'm struggling with it is it seems like,
I apologize. Can you use your mic so I can understand you?
yeah, it's on.
Okay.
It seems like I completely understand having the quote-unquote legacy bookings be canceled after the fact and us not being able to validate those. But am I understanding were any of those bookings, did they occur after the meeting, the booking itself? Is that what I'm hearing? For some of those? I know some of them were prior to it.
If you mean it since the previous meeting on October 2nd,
Yeah.
I don't see where there
Okay.
was a new booking since
Okay.
then.
Is that for the one specific house or for
Yeah,
all the
that's the-
houses?
This is only, I'm only speaking on 1231 Northwest 31st.
Okay. I personally, I think the agreement itself, the property management agreement itself, and everything else that's attached, I think it's sufficient for the next year. Obviously, we're just going to do a one-year term to figure out, is it going to work under new ownership? I can definitely see both sides as to the compensation. I don't think that after a year, I don't think growth would continue to manage the properties if it was not worth their time. So I can see the argument that the compensation itself is not. I think they provided enough veracity, or at least enough in the agreement to show that it's not just a sham agreement.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I understand the counterpoint to it, the idea that if it's just putting paperwork together so that they can continue to operate, which is why I was asking questions specifically in regards to what I have failed to find it. It may be in here, but I cannot find in any of the documents where it expressly speaks to the booking process being handled by Growth Gurus. That's something that I'm a little bit uncomfortable with, because I mean, that's the quintessential component of all of this, is that this is now being outsourced and handled by this third party, but I'm not finding any clear language that says this particular entity is now the entity responsible for these duties and tasks. In regards to the compensation, I see it both ways. I don't agree that it's not valid. I agree that it's not. It's something that it's not something that has to be made public, and so I think that you can separate confidentiality from providing the information. It's not like we're going to publish the information. I do have a question in regards to the funds. Is there going to be a separate account that the property manager is going to maintain the proceeds received from the bookings in, separate from the trans?
Growth Gurus has its own FEIN tax ID number and will operate as a separate business. With regards to the members' comments with regards to providing of information to the board, subject to correction by staff in the municipal counselor's office, the things that I present and that become part of the record are part of the Open Meetings Act and are certainly going to be available publicly. And that my concern with regards to, I will make the representation to you that there is a financial agreement and that it gives enough money to Growth Gurus to make this an activity that is profitable for them, and that this will hurt the trans financially. But in terms of making it part of the public record on this, I respectfully, I don't think that that's appropriate.
But proceeds that come as a result of these bookings will go to Growth Gurus, and then as a property manager, Growth Gurus will then remit the portion of the payment that then goes to the trans. Is that correct?
That is correct. And as an amendment, on page 2, item 2A, I will amend this and reflect that Growth Gurus is to do and administer the booking. If there's this more specific language that the board would like other than that, I'm happy to add it, but I will I will make it clear that Growth Gurus does the bookings and that Easy Rentals, the other goofy name of the property, or either of the trans will not be doing the bookings. And that is going to take a second to percolate through Airbnb. That's,
Yeah, that's fine. I think we're just trying to make sure that sniff test, just the legitimacy of the agreement.
Okay.
So if it's going to be managed by a third party, it needs to meet all of those elements. If it's being managed by a third party, the third party is responsible for the rental portal, accepting the bookings. That's why I'm asking all of that. I just want to make sure that we're not saying that we're protecting neighbors in the community and the general public by requiring them to get a property manager while the everyday activities are being carried out by the same parties that we told them would no longer be responsible for that.
I understand.
I have two questions, and one question is that item 3C on the management agreement is that this can terminate within 90 days.
1 second. The terminate within 90
days by either party.
Would the board prefer that to be much longer? Or a report to the board if there is a change in this agreement required? That's my standard language in my agreements that I draft, is to be able to let people get out of agreements. But if the board would like that for be longer, we can make that longer.
I think my bigger concern is just to make sure that there is an agreement in place, right? So that 2 months in, we can't terminate the agreement and then be operating without one.
Yep. And the second thing I'd like to say is that for me, I'd like this, if approved, to be contingent upon a signed written document.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and the continuation of this management agreement. I think I can get past that language as long as the approval is contingent upon this property management agreement being in place. So if it is opted to terminate this agreement, then effectively, whether or not we know about it,
special exception
the
goes.
special exception is contingent upon that being there.
No objection.
I think the only other thing I can think of is just adding language that compensation shall be set out per some compensation agreement that's not of record. So I mean, that's the only thing I can think of to make sure that there is one in place.
Did you understand
Didn't
that?
understand.
So as far as I'm trying to address the compensation issue, because we definitely, as a board, want to make sure there is something in place.
Yes.
If the agreement itself says subject to the compensation agreement that's outside the record, at least we know we've done our part, the best we can to make sure that that compensation agreement is in place. I don't want to make it part of the public record as a property owner myself.
We will represent that Exhibit 3 does exist.
Okay.
And so I think what would be, for record purposes, a clean way to do this would be that this application, should it be granted, is granted contingent upon NICTRAN, SunTran as members or managers, any involvement of them in any short-term rental requires third-party management. Is that?
Yes.
And then when will this come back before the board again?
1 year.
1 year from today?
Well, it's my understanding.
Go ahead.
It's my understanding that the license has to be reinstated also. So we've got to make sure that the timing on both of those is accurate. And then, but the exception that we're likely to grant today will just be a 1 year special exception.
So within 1 year, so it'd be before 1 year that it would come back up.
But with enough lead time in order to allow approval, because we can't operate while the continuances are going, or, okay. So the reason I ask the question is I can amend the property management agreement that it would run through the term of licensure? Would that, as long as there is a
Because they would be
special
tied.
exception in place, this contract is in place, and if this contract is not in place, then the city of Oklahoma City must be notified.
Yes. And this entity is currently in existence, Growth Gurus. It's,
Yes, I personally formed it.
okay.
I didn't get the tax ID number, but I did form it with
Yeah, no,
Secretary.
that's not necessary. I
did
just
its
want to
operating
make
agreement.
sure that we're doing our due diligence. It was the last meeting when Ms. Lee Cow said that she would manage, and I can only speak for myself. I'm assuming this was the case for my colleagues, but she has a history of maintaining short-term rentals, a good history of maintaining short-term rentals. And so it's on that history and on that reputation that we've made this agreement. So I just want to be clear that it's not just throw up a entity and say it's going to be managed. My comfort level is because I know she manages her properties well, and I feel confident telling neighbors, hey, you're going to get a really good property manager. So I just hate for them to come back next year and say, hey, this was the agreement on paper, but she didn't manage it, and there's a stark difference in how these properties were managed versus how hers are managed. Effectively, I'm looking at it as she's putting her name on the line for these.
So for record purposes, I've represented Omega, which is Nathan and Scarlett, for some time. That came out of derivative litigation that doesn't matter with the board with regards to a fuss over title of a piece of property. How I got the Trans's client is from Scarlett. And what Scarlett has represented to me is, and I as counsel recommended this separate LLC for Growth Gurus be set up because it's going to operate differently. The other properties that Scarlett manages are ones that are owned by Omega. And my recommendation, and yes, I have for those who are attorneys on the board, I have a conflict waiver between the two entities, but my recommendation was a standalone entity to manage these properties for accounting purposes in terms of flow of money, taxes, and everything else.
Anything else?
I don't think so. It's going to be a doozy of a motion. I'm trying to figure out,
Yes, it
make
will.
sure that we capture it all. But as to item number 7, I'm going to make.
Before we do all that, let's go through the actual case
Oh, okay.
and discuss, which is 3 rooms, maximum of 6 guests. I wanted to change the quiet hours to 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. with a maximum of 4 vehicles and the term being 1 year.
Okay. All right. Motion to approve case number 15940 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the special exception with the following modifications. As to the application itself, we are modifying quiet hours from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m., 4-car maximum for a term of 1 year, and no on-street parking during quiet hours. In addition to, the applicant has indicated that they will modify the Growth Gurus property management agreement to reflect that the management will encompass all short-term rental activity, including but not limited to VRBO as well as Airbnb. What else did we say? As far as bookings and just management of short-term rental activities itself.
And the quiet
number
was
of
9
guests?
p.m. to
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Our number of guests.
Number of guests, I think,
For
we're
the
fine.
application, 6.
Yeah. And I believe the applicant also said that you would modify the language in the property management to reflect that it remains in place during the, while they are short-term renting that property. Is that correct?
Yes, and the additional requirement that, I was going to write it, that staff of licensure staff must be notified if the agreement lapses.
Correct. And then as well as if the license has not been paid, obviously we need to get that paid for sure. And then providing an executed copy of these agreements to
Yes.
staff.
All subject to operating. These all need to be provided
Prior to-
prior to operating.
Understood.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Vote when available. Item is approved.
Item number 8, case number 15941 is an application by Sontran of Easy Rentals LLC to allow home sharing at 1512 Northeast 12th Street.
James Teeson on behalf of the applicant. Case number 15941, with its case history, has been before the board a number of times. It was continued for the applicant to obtain third-party management. That has been obtained. The applicant represents to the board that the items under agenda number 7 will be supplemented with regards to this item, and that those items will be provided in all cases prior to this being opened up to accept bookings by Growth Gurus.
For the record, this is item number 8, right?
Yes.
Sarah, can you tell us, has this one accepted any bookings since the last time for the software?
This one appears to have been booked on October 8th for October 15th and 16th.
Do you have any knowledge of that booking?
I do not. Same representations to the board. My clear instructions following the last meeting were that the board clearly has put on the record that it has issues with the veracity of the applicants, that moving forward, the board's requirements must be complied to as to their intent. In addition, not just the letter, there will be no workarounds, no cute things, and that any and all bookings were to be canceled because the board had made it clear that the license was not in effect from that point until this meeting. I'm sorry, the board had I misspoke. The board made clear that the license was not in effect until it was approved by the board.
Sarah, are those dates currently showing blocked?
Again, I'm basing this just on my limited use of this, but it does show booked 10, booked October 6th of 2025 for October 13th through the 14th, and then booked on October 8th for October 15th and 16th, blocked for October 17th and 18th, available the 19th through the 23rd, and then blocked in October. Like, I can't go beyond the 25th.
We do have someone signed up to speak on this case, too.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Brian Jones.
Thank you, Brian Jones, 1544 Northwest 40th Street. It appears that the Trans booked this particular property during the period they were prohibited from doing so. I just don't know what else the board can do except deny the application at that point.
Thanks.
Sorry, that's all I have.
And I'll say, I mean, from our side, in trying to actually go through the platforms to find an individual address is not just as simple as putting in an address and see if it's booking. It's not the way they work. And so it does take time and an effort to try to find the property within the area to then find if an active booking has taken place just going through the platforms. And so if that's what you're trying to do, I know it's not simple.
Yeah. And for me, I mean, that is the crux of it. I think that they've shown effort to address the issues that we've cited, and I don't want to penalize them any further if they've taken corrective action. But at the same time, I don't want to minimize the neighbors or the community's concerns and saying, hey, they're not being compliant, they're not acting in good faith. So it ultimately comes down to that. I'm having a hard time just because I'm weighing staff's uncertainty with the software. I don't. It's new.
And we don't know if they're booked and canceled. We don't know the other side of it either.
Is there a way?
That part is true, and I just, there's a live listing, and when I go to it, it does not allow me to, the dates will show available, but it won't let me book them. So again, I don't want you to weigh your decision on my ability to navigate Rentalscape, please. However,
outside of the software, you're talking on the actual platform.
well, there's a link to the live listing from the platform, and it will show dates that are crossed off and available, and ones that are available. But if I try to book it for an available date, it's not allowing me to do that. It's returning an error. So I just,
So what dates?
I apologize, but
What dates is it available for?
18th and 19th, is that what you said? And then blocked out again for the rest of October?
I would almost want to defer this to, we can get staff to determine whether or not it's actually been booked. I don't necessarily just want to outright deny.
I agree, I don't want to
I understand.
So, if I may be heard, would an alternative be to not extend this for a year, but to extend this for 6 months? And we will be back, I will be back sooner with record to reflect, because the reality of the matter is that a decision will have to be made if these are going to go long-term rentals, simply because the economic reality is that right now these all cost money and they are not making money. And I represent the board, I hear the board, the Trans have heard the board, Ms. Lacow has heard the board, and that these properties will be handled with the intent of the guidelines and the clear items which the board has expressed. I made it clear on the record in our last meeting with regards to some of the motivations of the protester, and would ask that the board approve the application, if necessary, approve this one for 6 months, and I'll be happy to come back and speak to the board and provide evidence of how it's been.
I don't think we can go less than a year.
Well, I think the application, or the special exception is for 1 year, the payment is for 1 year. I'll say this, I think that they are maybe not operating it to the exact extent of what we asked for, but are making the attempt, and I think they have heard us. I think that they are working towards getting this this application and all their applications put into a position that they will go forward and be operated correctly, and I could, as this individual case, get behind. All right. But that's just me today.
I'm
Because it's, you know, I mean, I really think that he's trying, or that the applicant themselves are trying, but they do have economic impact, and it is somewhat of a hardship that they're trying to do both.
Yeah,
And I'm not saying they didn't bring it upon themselves, it's just they're moving in the right direction.
I just don't want to minimize the neighbor saying this is not what's happening if it's a listing that shows it's not available. I think I had more reservations in terms of being critical whenever it was new software, but if the new software takes you to the existing platform, I can't foresee any reason why it would show unavailable unless it had been blocked out for a booking. I mean, the Airbnb software isn't new. The software the city's using may be new. And so on that side of the equation, we might have to take that with a grain of salt, but.
Well, and just because it's blocked doesn't mean it's blocked because it is currently listed or rented. It could be blocked because they're not renting it.
Well, but that being said, you take the booking date and the dates that it was supposedly blocked for, and then it'd have to be a lot of coincidence at that point.
Right. And on the other hand, we don't know if it was canceled either. Or it will be.
If, I don't want to.
And I'll say this, is that the surrounding neighbors that were notified on this application, there were no protests.
Well, I don't want to blindly ignore it and say, oh, no, everything's probably fine, let's just approve it. But I don't want to hold them up and kick the can down the road. Is there an alternative where we can make this approval contingent upon staff verifying? Sarah, is there a limitation, or do you see a path where your team could do some additional digging and determine?
I'm sorry, I'm not following, I'm so sorry.
If we were to grant an approval subject to you verifying that this is some error in the system and not an actual booking that was placed after the last meeting, is that something that you guys would be able to verify? Do you have a contact? I don't know what it looks like, whether that's reaching out to somebody that you all have access to say, hey, why does this show here? Is this the result of an actual booking, or is there some other issue that's causing this listing to be reflected in this way?
Well, I mean, we can certainly do that, but I'm trying to understand how that would affect this application and the approval of it.
Because I do take it seriously that the protesters' complaint is that the applicant has not been acting in good faith. And I think that that's a clear statement if there's a booking that's been done just since the last meeting. We've had a lot of discussions about the eligibility of these properties and their ability to be rented. And I think that I think we can all agree the last meeting was pretty clear as far as what the game plan was. So if in fact there was a booking that was done after our last meeting, that pretty clearly says that they're not acting in good faith. If that's not the case, I think that we rely on the information which we have, which I'm willing to interpret as they are acting in good faith, and grant the application. So it is a hinge point for me.
Right, but what would the action or the condition be of this special exception?
That we would approve it subject.
Only with that condition. So if that condition, if it had indeed been rented, we would not be before this body again. I guess I'll look to Rita.
So if the situation, if you said you would move to approve a conditional situation subject to staff looking at it to determine whether or not there'd been a rental. And let's say they found a rental, but it was an error. There's some issue with the software. It showed a rental, but there really wasn't one, so they didn't issue the license. What would be best is if you continued it so that they would have forum to speak to that. If the information was, and they would get a copy of the staff report that said, records show that this was rented. And if they had proof that it wasn't, then they could bring that to you to indicate that no, the condition was met rather than otherwise.
Yeah, I'm okay with continuing it. The only reason I'm trying to go around continuing it is, as their counsel has stated, I don't want them to continue to hold on to property that's not making money. If they've done everything right, then they should be allowed to move forward with renting the property. So in my mind, we can make the approval contingent upon staff verifying that this is some error in the system. And if staff does do that and they find that, yes, this was a mistake, their contacts with the software says, yeah, this should not be the case.
Yeah.
We've already granted the approval as this body. They have no reason to come back here. The only way that it becomes an issue is if staff determines that, yeah, this was a legitimate bona fide booking, in which case the approval was contingent upon verifying that that wasn't the issue, so they wouldn't be allowed to operate.
So you'd be willing to go forward with that kind of a motion?
Yeah.
Yes, if there's a glitch in the system that says that's not accurate, that no bookings occurred during the prohibited term, or yes, they did, you would be willing to say issue it or not issue it?
Yes, and that's just me. If you guys are more comfortable with the continuance and saying, I'd rather continue it, find out, and then make my determination, then I won't be against that.
I mean, if that, to that point, for me, I would really be more comfortable continuing the application for the applicant to then give us documentation that said bookings that show up for this weekend are canceled.
Okay.
Next meeting is not until November 6th.
It gives them a month, or nearly a month.
May, for record purposes, may I inquire as to which of the criteria with regards to the municipal code and statute that the board is taking into consideration with this request, please?
I don't believe it is an ordinance. It is something that we have used in the past to continue an application past the point for the dates that they booked during no licenses and no special exceptions.
I understand.
Precedent.
I understand.
Roberto, do you have strong feelings one way or the other?
I mean, I want to give them an opportunity. I think based off of, if you make a contingent and it fails, saying that they did, that it shows that it was rented afterward, then it's just an automatic denial. And the applicant would at least get a form to voice what happened before that. I guess the circumstances surrounding that.
I see.
So that, I mean, that's why my initial mind went to just deferring it to November 6th.
I'm fine with that. I was just trying to find a way that wouldn't kick it down the road for them, but I do see how there's more information that would be available to continue it, so.
All right, then I'll make any questions?
Are you in agreement with the continuance on this application?
So the board made it clear that there was to be a financial penalty for the trans. They're to obtain a third-party management company. They have done that. The trans are not here because they're out of the country, but I will be here representing the trans, and I assure you that my word is good. You're welcome to inquire into that. You know, the criticisms you'll receive about me are that I may be too direct, but I'm not going to beat around the bush with you. At this point, this has been enough. It is, I would ask that it be approved. And if the board wants us to come back and demonstrate certain things, I'm happy to. I see that Mr. Jones just stood again. I am more than happy to. I mean, at this point, this stems from a neighborhood conflict that does not relate to this property. And that's why this protester is here. This protester is here not because He is a neighbor to this property. He is here because of personal conflict with the trans. We have removed the trans from the equation. And I'm happy to give the board proof of that. You know, I'll come back and show you what we're doing and how Growth Gurus is doing it. But in terms of and I raised that because of the economics, realities of it are that these properties need to be able to be booked for these businesses to continue making mortgage payments on them.
I agree with everything you're saying, but with all due respect, you've been candid with us, I'll be candid with you. Part of the reason that we're here is because some concerns were brought up that made it appear as though the applicant wasn't acting in good faith, that the applicant did some things outside of the spirit of what we are attempting to accomplish here as a part of this body. The concern or the issue on the table right now, specifically whether or not they have engaged in booking this property when being expressly told that that was against the rules, is at the heart of how we got here in the first place. So I think not only is it valid, I don't know that there's a more valid issue in this particular case than that point. So I agree with you in terms that I don't want the property to just sit vacant, hence the reason why I brought up the discussion about us maybe doing some type of contingent approval on it. But we are not here to advocate on behalf of operators. We're not here to advocate on behalf of the neighbors. We're here to take all of the information before us and try to give an unbiased decision. And so in trying to render that unbiased decision, for the reasons that we've stated, there's a little bit of gray. We've got some software. I'll tell you, for me personally, can't speak for these guys. If Sarah's statements would have been, I've been trained in this software, I've been using it for 6 months, I feel really confident in it, and I can tell you that this has been booked since then, I'd simply deny it. So that's a quintessential issue that's here before us today, is whether or not this has been booked. If a protester shows up and says, you guys are rubber stamping these, you're approving all of these, I have evidence that these guys are not doing what they say that they're doing, I don't want to be dismissive of that. In the same way that I don't want to be dismissive of your client saying, hey, here's all the things that I've done to make sure that we're in compliance with what you want. So I'm giving the same respect all the way around.
We've also denied applications because people have continued to book their Airbnbs outside their special exception. Right, if they were operating illegally, we have denied applications just based off of that. So we want to remain consistent in the way that we vote on these topics.
I understand. So for clarity purposes, should this be deferred? What is the board requesting that I bring you? When is the next meeting?
11/6.
So
No bookings between now and 11/6, and actually try and show documentation that bookings that were between, 10/2?
10/2 through today,
today,
right? But I think
canceled.
working with staff so that we can verify what we're seeing on the software itself.
My challenge is I don't know the Airbnb system well enough. I don't manage any short-term rentals. So I can't stand before you and tell you I know exactly what can be done and what I can produce for you. And that's why I'm asking the question, is because we will seek, as we have sought with obtaining outside property management, to comply with the board's request. And so in order to do that, you understand where I'm coming from, I need to be able to give you something meaningful, and I don't know how to do that.
Well, and I completely respect that. And when I'm saying it, I'm not putting the onus on you personally. I'm putting the onus on the applicant, whether that's the owners themselves or their new property manager. They will have familiarity with the platform, and they will be able to provide the documentation. The only part that I have an issue with, I'm asking questions to make sure I can make a fully informed decision, but as it stands right now, the only part that I actually have an issue with is that we keep coming back to this place of we're told something, or we have an accusation or an allegation from a resident or a neighbor saying this is what we think is happening, and when we look to your clients to clear that, it's not clear. And I think as an isolated event, this probably for me, it wouldn't be that big of an issue. But when we see the same theme occurring over and over again, I think at the heart of the last meeting, it was about providing documentation showing the original property if it had been listed on Airbnb. And we got a range of dates that didn't match. And we asked, this is what we'd asked for, but we're told we couldn't provide that because the system doesn't go back that far. But then when Mr. Seda challenged your client and asked specifically about why those reports weren't pulled after that meeting, there was not really a clear answer that was given. So do you see how it can create a situation where we've got neighbors and residents who are expecting us to do our part in asking questions and making sure that we've done our due diligence, but every time we ask for something, there's always an asterisk or a caveat. There's this reason why we didn't get this information. I think what we've been asking for from the beginning is just quite simple. There's an allegation, you guys deny it, just simply provide us documentation that shows that. But each time there's some reason why we can't receive the documentation.
So I understand the board's points, the board's positions, and the remedy that the board proposed was this applicant incurring the cost to obtain third-party management of these properties. And that has been done. And so what I'm representing to the board is that on a go-forward basis, we will have a file with the documentation if there's a complaint. This is everything that was done as I've represented on number 7.
But also the reason.
I guess what I'm saying is, I believe that the applicant has fully remedied the board's concerns with the obtaining Growth Gurus as the third-party property management on these properties, and that the arm's length nature of that, the dealing with the neighbors, that will occur outside of the trans. And so I believe that we've remedied.
I believe we've remedied that part. The reason that I specifically said at the last meeting that this shall not be continued to be rented out is because I wanted to find out, can I trust these gentlemen? Will they follow the rules that we set out before them? And the fact that I requested that the Airbnbs themselves not be rented from October 2nd until today was for the purpose of trying to find out whether or not they're going to uphold and respect the board's request and what we impose on them. So that's just part of it. Part A was the agreement. I feel like that's gone a long way. Part B goes back to the heart of what we have to do every time we look at one of these. Can we trust the owners themselves? Are they acting in a way that we feel comfortable with them operating an Airbnb out in the general public? And I think that the general public expects us to hold the owners accountable for the way they operate these Airbnbs.
I understand.
In the city of Oklahoma City, and they were operating without a special exception and without a license.
I understand that operation without any of those is to not occur.
So
I'm asked to this particular one because we've got evidence showing that it may have been rented in the last 2 weeks. I'm going to make a motion to continue case number 15941 to the November 6, 2025 meeting.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Vote when available. And the item is deferred.
And to be clear, staff's going to look into that. There's not anything that I need to bring back to you for November 6th.
No,
on that property.
yes, you would bring back documentation showing that the property hasn't been rented, hasn't been booked.
Especially concerning the days that it is showing right now as booked.
And I guess the staff can provide what we're seeing in our system, provide those dates, that information to the applicant.
Yeah.
I will speak with the staff who's managing our consultant about what we can provide as documentation.
Okay, thank you.
So if possible, can I request that I receive what staff is looking at so that we're dealing with apples and apples?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes. Item number 9, Case number 15943 is an application by Sontran of BE Rentals LLC to allow home sharing at 844 Northeast 52nd Street.
James Thiessen, present on behalf of the applicant. This is case number 15943. The case history is accurate. Board previously requested that the applicant obtain third-party management for the property. That has been done. The board has been provided with documentation of that. The requested changes by the board have been noted, will be made prior to any rentals should this application be approved. The applicant would request that the application be approved.
Any questions?
Just feedback from staff.
And there was someone signed up to speak. I'm going to hear from them.
Sure.
Before or
Let's see what staff says, 'cause
yeah, the rental data for this property.
Sarah, I can tell what I pulled on from up through October the 9th. They had bookings that were done in September that were for October. So they were for October 1st through the 5th and October 8th through the 11th.
Prior to the
And it
October
was
2nd
booked-
meeting.
And they were booked on in September 23rd.
Okay.
And to be clear, the system does not show. May I approach?
And we don't see it, so, and we can't see it. Sarah, can we get that information too?
Yes, according to the Rentalscape software, this property shows that was booked on September, the last confirmed booking would have been back in September 17th for October 13th and 14th.
Okay.
are those dates.
Then there's an unconfirmed booking that I just cannot confirm for October, that was made on October 5th. But
Am I correct in saying that those occurred prior to the last meeting of the board?
well, October 2nd would have been the last meeting of the board. So, but the last confirmed booking shows that it was done back in September.
And on those bookings, regardless of the date that the booking occurred, are you, when you click your link to the live listing, does it correspond with the dates?
Let me check.
Do those dates show unavailable?
Sorry, I'm just confirming that I'm on the right address. If so, there is a live booking and it does show available.
And that's for this
1824
address?
Northeast 52nd Street. It shows advertised for up to 5 people.
I state what I stated previously. I hate to just continue all of these. I'd like to see some type of conditional approval, but I mean, I'm not going to dismiss or ignore what definitely appears to be live bookings if that's the complaint that we have, and that's to some degree substantiated by the limited resources we have to confirm it.
We do have someone signed up to speak, so if you want to hear from them too. Brian?
Thank you. Brian Jones, 1544 Northwest 40th Street. Again, I think that the problem here is really one of the city staff's resources and what can be done to confirm or disconfirm that there has been a booking. I have a kind of procedural notion that I think might speak to Mr. Uday's concern about deferral versus contingent approvals, and the municipal counselor's office would be more knowledgeable about this than I am. But I believe in the last round of amendments, the board obtained revocation power, and I think that there may be some way in which, in circumstances like this, a special exception could be granted subject to revocation on the grounds of further resources or investigation establishing that there was a violation of that prohibition. But that's just a kind of lawyer brainstorming way to resolve this issue, and it's just kind of me thinking a way through this that I think might work. But again, continuing it to allow for some investigation also makes very good sense to me.
I don't think you're wrong, but to your point, I do think that requires an active item. I don't think it's passive. We don't have a mechanism for it to automatically convert. There has to be an impetus for that revocation to be considered, just like there is for an application to be considered. So that would be the only kind of sticking point there.
And that's a question that I also had after reading that. I'm not exactly sure under the ordinance how you get to a revocation if there's not somebody there to file a revocation application or something like that.
Exactly.
But that's all I have. Again, it does appear like this may have been booked or may have a live booking currently. It sounds like there's not good clarity on that.
Yeah, this one I'm a little more certain on about the booking and because I can see that it was booked October 5th for the 15th and 16th. It's blocked off for part of October. It shows available for all of November and the end of October currently on our website. As far as the revocation goes, the way that we handle that is anyone can ask us to consider a revocation, and it's sent to our planning director for an investigation. And if it's found that there are conditions that would warrant bringing it to the board, then we would bring it to you for revocation.
Thank you for that. And would that be the kind of thing that would go through the Action Center, or would that go directly to?
I think it would come to our clerk.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the first contact is they would reach out to your office, and then if your office substantiated those concerns, then it would show up on our agenda.
Yes, if our planning director decides, based on the information he has available, that it warrants consideration by the board to revoke a special exception for home sharing, then we'll bring it to you.
I think what we've done in the past is also if they were renting the property out during a period that they did not have that special exception, we've just delayed it
The same.
and said you can come back and reapply in X amount if you follow the rules. So if we,
I don't think, we've not yet had a case where we've had somebody initiate an action for revocation. And so I would ask you as their counsel, which you feel, it's your client, you speak to them, so you'd have more information than we do. I guess it really ultimately comes down to how confident you are that they have followed your advice and not participated in booking any of these listings, because that's something that I feel like is very unbiased and fair, is that I'm willing to grant an approval if you're confident that they haven't done this, but the stakes of that would be that it would come back for revocation if somebody determined that they had booked it. But and I'll speak for myself, if that comes back on the agenda and there's evidence presented showing that they had booked it during this time, that's more than enough for me to deny the application.
So what I can speak to is I've got an email back from the time period. So they're in Vietnam, but obviously they're probably watching these proceedings. And so I emailed them earlier and asked if my directions have been followed with regards to no short-term rentals after the last deal. And I've been assured that there were no short-term rentals. So, because the short-term rentals are what's in the purview of the board. So 31 days, I'm sure there is a listing out there for 31 days, but for short-term rentals, absolutely not.
I'm up for what you guys, I think we're beyond the considerations of the property and the bedrooms and amount of occupants. We're at a concern that speaks squarely to character, so.
Which some of that is being rectified by the
Property
agreement.
management agreement, yeah. For me, I just think for the applicant themselves, it's safer to get a continuance than it is to get an approval today.
I'm sorry,
I said, to me, it feels like it would be safer to take a continuance rather than to try to get a contingent approval today. But that's up to you. Just
so in the spirit of accepting the guidance from the board, we would ask that this be deferred until 11/6.
Motion to continue case number 15943 to the November 6, 2025 meeting.
Second?
a motion and a second. Please vote. And this item will be continued.
Item number 10, it's number 15945, is an application by Sontran of VE Rentals LLC to allow home sharing, 4520 Northwest 30th Street.
Wait on staff. I do have a question. On the one that was approved, we had discussion that the agreement itself would also be modified to incorporate language saying subject to the compensation agreement, which I believe you said was Exhibit 3 or B. I don't believe that was part of the motion because we had so much. Is there a way?
So I'm happy to represent to the board that for all of the applications that are pending before the board today, we will supplement with all of the items that were committed to on number 7.
During discussion?
Yes, sir.
I just didn't know if it had to be formally in the motion itself.
It does have to be formally a part of the action this board takes.
Okay.
So going forward,
Yeah,
we'll include
I'll
that
make sure. Okay.
information.
We have a protester signed up to speak on this.
Yes.
If we can hear from him.
Do you want the information prior to speaking?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, so we can get the information from staff as far as any current bookings or an active
So
site.
to keep the record clean, James Teason on behalf of the applicant, this is case number 15945. The record accurately reflects that this matter has previously appeared before the board for record purposes, same recital as the last application with regards to compliance with the board's request with regards to third-party management of the properties. And for record purposes, the applicant commits that it will supplement this application with all of the items that it agreed to on number 7, including the modifications as requested.
Anything else? No? Brian, Jones,
I think we're waiting on Sarah first. I think he would prefer, although, is there something new, Brian, other than, okay.
No, not at all.
Okay, and for the record, Sarah Welch, Planning Department, for the address of 4520 Northwest 30th Street. In the month of October, I show bookings from September and October. October 3rd, I show the property was rented from October 5th through the 13th. I show a previous booking in September for October 14th and 15th. And I show a booking on October 3rd for October 16th. I show a booking for the 17th and 18th. That was reserved back in September. I show it currently available, but not booked for the end of October and November, except for the week of Thanksgiving.
The only request I have of staff is that we be able to communicate outside of the meeting in terms of the criteria that the software is pulling so that I can be in a position to appropriately respond. As to item number 10, subject to the board's guidance with regards to item number 9, the applicant would request that this be referred and be deferred until November 6th in order to respond as on number 9.
And I'm sorry, I want to supplement. When I go to the live listing, the dates are crossed off, so I can see both the internal and external facing, and it does appear that they've blocked off. So I can't find the ability to book.
Okay.
So
it does show that it's locked.
It's all the dates are crossed off for someone on the third who's trying to book.
Okay. So as you that, I withdraw my request to defer because I believe that this one accurately reflects the status that I requested that these all show pending the last meeting, that there be no short-term rentals before an approval of the exception.
So the last time it was actually booked was what night?
10/3.
10/3 for a week.
Any previous
10/3.
booking would have been either potentially right after our last meeting or in September. There's no more dates booked that I can tell after today, and the dates are blocked off to people trying to rent. They would not be able to book this property for the rest of October or November.
Okay.
And that's it.
So 10/3 though it was booked?
I'm sorry?
It was booked on 10/3, there was a booking, or there was already a stay that had previously
No, a
been
booking. A booking on 10/3 for 10/5 through 10/13, and then another booking on 10/3 for 10/16.
We just need to continue it.
Because if that, I don't know how Airbnbs work. If we requested that they not book or rent out the property on 10/2, I don't know if they would have had enough time to cancel or take that. I mean, I think that they should have taken it off that night.
That's the point that I'm getting at. I mean, there's a whole separate discussion that we're not having here, which is just the advertising of them anyway, instead of pausing all of the listings. Again, I don't know. I can only speculate as to why it was, so I don't want to penalize them for that, but I don't want to make a
judgment.
Yeah, I don't want to make a judgment one way or other on partial information. The software is good, it's providing us some information, but I'd like to see that information be more robust before wade into the water one way or the other.
Okay. We're gonna make a motion to continue this then.
Did you have anything to say?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to continue case number 15945 to the November 6, 2025 meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And this case is continued.
Item number 11, case number 15947 is an application of Easy Rentals LLC to allow home sharing at 3841 Northwest 13th Street.
James Thiessen, present on behalf of the applicant. Same announcement as prior cases. The staff report to the board is correct with regards to the pendency of this application. Same announcement as to number 7 with regards to third-party agreement in place. Same announcement as to amendment to the third-party agreement and the policies and procedures as requested by the board. Same representation of the board that we will supplement as to all applications pending before the board with those changes and with the signed agreement.
Thanks.
And however, Sarah Welch, Planning Department, no booking activity.
There is someone signed up to speak. You want to hear from them?
Sure.
Brian Jones.
Brian Jones, 1544 Northwest 40th Street. Based on the city staff's representation that there is just no question that this was booked during the prohibited period of time, and given the steps that they've taken with regard to the property management, I mean, I think that this is an easier call than some of the ones that have been preceding it. That's all I have to say.
Thanks.
Let's actually look at the
case.
application.
There is one written protest in this one, which I'm sure you've seen. My suggestion then would just be to reach out. I'm sure they've already contacted them.
So, the representation from the email is attached is that the property's not in a good condition. I would represent to the board the property is in a good condition, as evidenced by the photographs that your applicants have spent considerable time and resources improving the subject properties, making these properties a better fit for the neighborhood, and that this property is in better condition than it was before. That with regards to what has been presented to the board with the third-party management, the letter that will go out from third-party management to the neighbors with new contact information, and then the procedures in place with regards to any incidents that may happen, communication with the neighbors, and appropriate steps taken to resolve those. I would ask that the board approve this application.
I think the only question becomes how many cars?
3.
Okay.
And I just make sure that you've reached out to the protestant.
So,
I think
yes,
there has been communication.
I will ensure specifically that we also email the letter from, assuming approval. Growth Gurus will reach out to the protester via email, and if they provided their address, we'll also obviously mail them a letter. But we'll email them at the Julie.Nelson5 email address.
Thanks.
Ready for a motion? All right. Motion to approve case number 15947 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the request of special exceptions with the following modifications. The application itself shall be modified to reflect that this is for a period of 1 year, 3-car maximum, no on-street parking during quiet hours. Hereby incorporate the amendments that were made on case number 15940, with the only addition is that incorporating the compensation agreement language discussion that we had at that time.
Second.
Motion and a second. Vote when available. And you're approved.
Item number 12, case number 15948 is an application by Sontran of BE Rentals LLC to allow home sharing at 3324 Northwest 23rd Street.
That's 13.
I believe, are we on 15948? Okay.
There. Go.
Go, yeah, okay.
So when I pulled this report on 10/9, we had 3324 Northwest 23rd, a Unit A and a Unit B. They only have, the application just for the straight address, so we're not sure if if this is a duplex. When I pulled the Unit B, all the listings were on Unit A, and they booked on 10/1, and then they booked back in September, and there wasn't any bookings on Unit B, so I guess they're all putting them all together. But Airbnb has them separate. So we were gonna ask the applicant about this this is a duplex, or?
But it has one address.
We don't recognize Unit A and B, we just had it as the straight address, but Airbnb has it listed as both. But they're not booking under Unit B, they're booking under Unit A.
Sarah, what do you show? Available.
Sarah Welch, Planning Department. The records today reflect what Cindy said. There was one booking on October 1st. There's been no other bookings in October, and there's no scheduled bookings after today, and it does not show available for the rest of October.
There is someone signed up to speak. Want to hear from them?
Mr. Jones, go right ahead.
Brian Jones, 1544 Northwest 40th Street. I am concerned about the duplexing of this property, the apparent creation of two separate units on the inside and it being advertised as two separate units. That makes it a multiple family residence. This is an R1, right? And again, not to go too far back in the past, but our original protest on June 20th was that they had done this exact thing at 1540. They had not gotten any kind of variance. They had essentially created a multiple family residence in what has to be a single family residence home. And it looks like they've done the same thing with this unit. So I think that's a big deal, and I think that should be taken very seriously. And I'm sure the board knows where I stand on that.
So for clarification purposes, from the staff's standpoint, from what's being reflected on the software, is it reflecting an A and B?
Yes, they have two records, an A and a B. They have two records, an A and a B.
Okay.
The information I gave you is A, and B shows no activity.
So I'm happy to defer this one until 11/6, and I can answer to you unequivocally whether or not this is one unit or two units, because I cannot represent to the board as I stand here today. I've looked it up on the assessor's website. I've looked it up quickly on street maps, Google Drive-by, and I can't make a representation, so happy to defer in order to provide a representation.
Continue.
Yeah. Make a motion then to continue case number 15948 to the November 6, 2025 meeting.
Second.
And the item is continued.
Item number 13, case number 15949 is an application by Sontran of BE Rentals LLC to allow home sharing, 2919 Northwest 32nd Street.
James Teeson, present on behalf of the applicant. This is case number 15949. The staff report is attached as correct. Previous recitals with regards to number 7 would ask that the board reflect them made here and that as represented to the board, we will make the changes and submit the documentation as represented to the board on number 7.
Thanks. Cindy, do you have any time on this one?
On October 9th, when I pulled this, it showed there were bookings from September for October, another booking in September for October, and there was 3 of them, and then booked on 10/2 for 3 days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th, and that was on the 9th.
So we were here with the board on 10/2. This one I would ask that it be approved because substantial compliance is reflected in the staff software record.
Sarah, is the rest of the...
I would concur with Cindy on that.
And the rest of the month's blocked out? Or is it active?
I'm sorry, give me just a minute because there are multiple links to live listings and I have to confirm which one is correct.
My printout from the 9th, it just shows the whole month of, rest of the month of October available and November. Nothing's blocked off.
We have someone signed up. Do we have somebody signed up?
We do have someone signed up to speak. Brian Jones?
Brian Jones, 1544 Northwest 40th Street. It sounds like city staff is saying that there were no bookings after October 2nd, in which case, again, I think this is an easier call for the board.
While Sarah's looking at that, if we are going to make a motion to approve, how many cars do you foresee?
3.
3. All right.
Max of 6 guests, 9 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yep, that's in there.
Yep. And there are no complaints or protests.
Not that we're aware of.
No code violations or protests on this one.
I just feel like we should be playing the Jeopardy music right now.
And I'd request, since you do have the time on the deferrals, that when you bring back the property management, that both applicant and the owners and the property management company owners have signed the documents for us.
Yes, we'll bring back fully signed. What we will file in the cases will be fully signed documents amended as requested by the board.
And I would request, not a requirement, just a request that if the owners can't be here, the property manager can be here, just to foresee anything ambiguous in terms of documentation that's received so that they can speak to it directly. I don't want you to feel in the crossfire of trying to answer questions about an operation that you don't run.
Oh, right, and as part of the policies and procedures, many of the board's questions with regards to some of these, and the one that I deferred, will be able to be answered, because we will, in our applications, I'm going to file the future renewals, and those future renewal applications will be, for lack of a better term, voluminous, because I'm going to put everything in there that you've asked any questions about.
Okay, my final answer is that it has not been rented. It is advertised, but not booked.
Are dates available to be booked?
Yes.
Just continue it. Or I'd like to continue. I'm not trying to tell you guys, just trying to save conversation.
And maybe they were just lucky enough that they didn't have any bookings.
I mean, I'm good with approving today.
Me too.
It's whether or not
There's
you
just
would.
enough gray on all of these that it's just,
Well, I think Don and I would be okay with approving this one because there has not been a booking, even though give a little bit of grace. Give a little bit of grace on it. But I can make a motion, and if you don't second, then I will make a motion to defer. So I'll make a motion to approve case number 15949 for the purpose that it meets the statutory requirements for the requested special exceptions with the following modifications. This will be for a term of 1 year, 3-car maximum no on-street parking during quiet hours, and incorporating the amendments to the opera agreement in case that were discussed in case number 15940 as well as case number 15947.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. This case is approved.
And as we had approved item number 7, 11, and 13, there's always a 10-day grace period. So you have, and then there's a 10-day grace period appeal time. So you have to have those licenses paid for so the process can move, because they're in queue downstairs in licensing.
So the instruction, as I understand it, is on the cases approved. Well, the ones that have been approved, we need to pay money now. And on the ones that have been deferred, we need to pay money prior to the next hearing. Am I understanding correctly?
I'm not saying you have to, I'm just saying because those haven't had a motion on them. But the ones that have an approval motion, I won't be able to approve the license. Is not going to be coming from Development Services to zoning for I can approve them. So they have to be paid so a license can be issued.
Understand.
Or else but you have really within 10 days, and they've been pending since June. So I just wanted to remind you that those definitely need to be paid.
Thank you.
And I believe if you do pay the ones that have been deferred, that they won't come into effect until the special exception is then approved. Is that right? So that they will stay together?
Well, that works both ways, because it's kind of like your car tag. You get penalized, but they're not really getting penalized through the licensing. But then they're getting all these months that they've been operating without a license or not having one. But the date is June on those.
We're trying to comply, and so
yeah, I'm just trying to make it faster for you to get.
I understand. What I'm trying to understand is on the ones that have been deferred, should we pay now, or will that mess up the system?
No, you should pay, because at the time that you turn in your application, then you should also have a license pending the approval.
Understood. We will pay for the ones that have
process.
been deferred.
Okay.
I understand the message.
But these 3 will be looked at quickly, within
Yes.
10 days, so then.
I assure the board that I will communicate immediately following this meeting with regards to the approvals, and we'll get them paid first.
Thanks.
Okay.
And so before we go on to the next thing, I want to make sure that item number 3, that we did that correctly when we continued that case because of lack of quorum. But did Marcus need to recuse prior to us doing that? It was just a
Yes.
point of order.
Yes. Seem to have that page. Can I see it? Excuse me. Oh, that one. Okay, so tell me again what happened.
We continued that case for lack of quorum. But Marcus, I think you voted on it.
No.
No,
Well, if it was like a quorum, he wasn't here,
right,
so you didn't vote on
but he sat there. But anyways,
it. So were you here?
No, and I think the record reflects that I said that I wouldn't second the motion in the initial continuance because I was recusing from that item, which is when you all decided to continue for lack
for
of
lack of
quorum.
quorum. Okay.
That you were here. So where was our lack of quorum?
Well, we could redo it and you can walk out.
I'm going to recuse.
So are we good? Do we need to bring item number 3 back up?
Okay, item number 3, case number 16060 is a request of Raina Daniels for a variance to yard and bulk regulations in the AA Agricultural District located at 5101 East Wilshire Boulevard.
This is a reconsideration. The record is not clear. This is to clarify the record. Chair?
Thanks. So on this case, we will continue it for lack of quorum. Automatic?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Somebody here vote? You don't have a quorum to vote.
Item 5 is additional items. I don't know that there is any additional items today. Board committees, there are no board committees. Anything from board members? Municipal counselor's office? No? No citizens, any citizens to be heard?
We just once again like to thank the board and city staff for their handling of this matter. Thank you.
Any other business? Our short meeting will be adjourned.